Well, David is running from his son, Absalom, and from a hostile takeover. He has been dethroned, but not really. David was put on the throne by God, and he's been promised that throne by God. So this is a God thing. David was not just seeking power. He was a shepherd boy. He didn't really even want power, but God called him. God anointed him. God appointed him. And the best power holders are those generally that don't want the power. But that means they hold it very carefully and loosely and accountably. Those that seek it, go after it, and are very tight-fisted with it, that's a kind of a scary thing. That's how Absalom was. So David is in this moment where it seems like God's will in his life is being thwarted. It seems like God's will is being overcome. Do you ever feel that way? The fact is, friend, God's will cannot be overcome. If God be for us, who can be against us? God is sovereign. He is powerful and providential in your life. And so his best plans are unfolding. If you're seeking him and following him, you're right on schedule. Now, if you've strayed or rebelled, get back, okay? His arms are open. Come back. Repent. Because who knows what kind of wilderness you're in because of that. But there are times when we're in a wilderness like David is, and it's by God's design. We followed God there. So let me just go on record to say that before we even read verse 1, David's in the wilderness of Judah, which is the region around Jerusalem, but he's there, he's following God there. God led him there. And I think he knows that. He doesn't want to be where he is, but he trusts God there. And that's so often where we are in life. We don't want to be where God has led us, circumstantially, geographically, whatever the situation, in terms of career, other things. We just don't want to be where God's led us. But my friend, trust me, you don't want to be anywhere else either, okay? The place to be every day of life is where God has led you. So choose to be there. Choose to embrace it. Choose to thrive there. Choose to set your affection on your God and on where he has led you. And that's what David does in verse 1. So look at what he says. O God, thou art my God. Early will I seek thee. My soul thirsteth for thee. My flesh longeth for thee in a dry and thirsty land where no water is. Oh, there's so much I want to comment on, and I don't want to take a lot of time, but first of all, David says, God, you are my God. So this is just like a declaration. It is an affirmation. It is an expression of love and devotion. It is a fixed dynamic. My heart is embedded. I'm all in. God, you are our relationship. My standing with you, your place with me, my relationship with you is not in question. Now, my friend, this is a reckoning moment that is very powerful when you go through a wilderness experience. For you to say, God, you're my God. And these circumstances will not strike at the root, at the core of my faith or my commitment or my relationship with you. Nothing comes between us, God. The pressure of this trial is going to push me close to you. It's not going to divide me from you. Oh God, thou art my God. And David says, now here's how I'm going to go through the wilderness. I'm going to wake up early. Have you ever had a trial or a season that you just can't sleep? Or when you sleep, it's minimal? Frankly, the last few nights have been that for me. I try to get to bed at the same time every night, and then nights like the nights of this week, when there's just a steady flow of negative and then a steady expenditure of kind of over expenditure over several days, the sleep is fleeting, and that's just a physiological response. So I imagine David was having a difficult time getting to sleep, probably sleeping, lightly, tossing and turning, and then probably waking up early. Your first waking thought in seasons like this, when your mind stirs, in a relaxed season, you can kind of tell your mind to go back to sleep. But in a season like this, your mind just immediately wakes up, grabs on to all the stuff you're stewing over, that you're thinking about, that you're concerned about, and your mind just goes. It's active. And so there's no point trying to sleep, right? So David says, in that moment, early will I seek thee. I love that. David says, well, if my mind's going to wake me up with anxiety, I'm going to run to you. I'm going to go right to God and early seek him. And what does he recognize in the anxiety, in the aloneness, in the earliness, is that a word, earliness? In the early nature of his sleepless wilderness experience? My soul thirsteth for thee. My flesh longeth for thee in a dry and thirsty land where no water is. Now, this is a beautiful contrast to what we've been studying in John. I think it's 4 or 5. I think it's for the woman at the well, moving into 7 and 8. I am the bread of life. I am living water. Whosoever believeth in me will flow out of his belly rivers of living water. The Spirit of God, the source of what my soul is thirsty for. Jesus is that source. And so David, hundreds of years prior, knows this, that God is a fountain of life and living water. And so in a wilderness experience, and he's kind of mixing the metaphors of his literal experience in this dry, thirsty land, and he's bringing that into his soul experience. My soul is thirsty like my flesh is thirsty, and all of me, my soul and my flesh, long for you, God. In this dry and thirsty land, it's also dry and thirsty spiritually, and there's no water. God, I'm longing for you. Now, I want to land it there. I want to park there for just today, and I want to drive to your psyche, your heart, my friend. When you have entered maybe in the middle of a wilderness experience, start here. God, you're my God. You are with me right now, and I am with you, and I'm thirsting for you, and I am seeking you in this wilderness experience. You seek God in your trial, you're going to find him. You're going to see his beautiful purposes unfold, even in the wilderness. Happy Friday. Looking forward to a great weekend. See you Sunday, and if not, we'll look forward to Monday.